than watching The Mandalorian Episode 4, and if you were also here, then you probably just watched Chapter 20, The Foundling, and let's talk about this because while this was one of the shortest episodes of The Mandalorian so far, we got a lot in this. Some great action scenes with The Mandalorian, more culture of all of Mandalorian, specifically this entire clan, and Grogu's backstory with a great cameo from Jar Jar Binks. Kind of. I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, it's Ahmed Best was in this episode. Of course, this is a spoiler alert for everyone. I'm making sure to look it up just so I can make myself laugh. I love the background stuff of Ahmed Best as Jar Jar Binks. But definitely, if you guys didn't know that, he is in this episode as Kelleran Beq. I can't wait to talk about this and more. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, specifically if the Force is with you and you know this is the way. And make sure to leave your thoughts down below. I'm staying up to past midnight to do this review for you guys, and I love doing it because I want to start that community. I want to have that community, and if you're up at midnight as well watching The Mandalorian, this is certainly the best place for you guys to talk about. So, diving into this episode, it opens up really well, and you see a lot of the Mandalorian culture, a lot of Mandalorians training, and it's so awesome to see because, as I've said in the past on my channel, the Mandalorians are my favorite aspects of Star Wars. And when it comes down to, in general, some of my favorite characters, besides Ahsoka, Bo-Katan's up there. Point blank, she has always been one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars, specifically within Clone Wars, Rebels, and what they've been doing this season specifically within Mandalorian has been one of the most interesting things that I've seen yet. And I love that, Season 2 kind of used her as, oh, it's Bo-Katan, that's awesome. They're giving like an actual meaty story to her, specifically how they're underlying her and building up her and Din at the same time. And seeing all the Mandalorians train was great, seeing how she's kind of coming to culture. Seeing Grogu do the dart challenge was fun, and Grogu takes out that little kid, who then that little kid gets picked up and taken off by this pterodactyl looking creature, and it's up to the Mandalorians to save the day. They jetpack away, and it ends up they run out of fuel. But Bo-Katan was smart, followed him back to his lair, and mapped it out for them to pretty much rally up a rescue mission, which ends up leaving them all ready to go rescue. And when they all will go out to play, we will stay behind with the armor and Grogu. And as the armor is crafting something and saying something to Grogu himself, we sit there and, this is the most important thing that we've gotten yet. We flash back to that, of course, flashback scene that we've seen with Grogu before. I think we saw it last season in the Ahsoka episode. And as it's flashing back, I'm sitting there waiting. I'm like, don't cheap us out, Carl Weathers. I know you're directing this episode. I know who's writing this episode. Don't cheap us out, guys. Let's give us the more meaty stuff. And I know a lot of people have been predicting, like, who saved Grogu. Did it turn out Mace Windu was alive? Did it turn out that maybe Ahsoka was there? Which we knew that was not true, but who saved Grogu? And the second the elevator's coming down, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Plo Koon? Is it going to be someone else? Are they going to retcon some stuff? And someone's face pops up. I'm like, who the hell is that? And they say Kelleran Beq. And I'm like, why does that name sound familiar? And why does this actor look so familiar? Well, it's Ahmed Best who plays Jar Jar Binks. And first off, like, for people who don't know who Kelleran Beq is, I brought it up here. Kelleran Beq's nickname was the Sabered Hand. He was a human male Jedi Master who served in the Jedi Order. And this, for me, again, I love when Star Wars pulls deep cuts like this. This is not something that you would expect. I was literally expecting someone bigger. But this was a great pull from Star Wars lore. It's someone that probably many people don't even know about. Hell, I barely remembered him. But seeing him show up in here was just phenomenal. And I think for me, seeing that Ahmed Best kind of got to come back into the Star Wars world was fun. And I think seeing him be able to play Kelleran Beq was also great. And maybe my eyes are just tricking me because it's late at night. Maybe that wasn't Ahmed Best, but it looked just like him. And they said Kelleran Beq, and it's really exciting. That whole entire scene of the clones following him and shooting out at him and all this sorts of stuff. It is so much fun. And also very daring. And Kelleran Beq and Grogu get away, from what we at least can see. Which leaves him out there that he is still out there in the world. So where does his story go next? And I'm hoping that that wasn't the only thing we get for the rest of the season. I hope there is more to those flashbacks and those stories. But at the very end of this, when he comes back out of his trance, the armorer gives him a new plate. Beskar puts it on there, and it's building up to Grogu getting his own Mandalorian armor, which the second the hot toy comes out for that, I will be pre-ordering it. Like up above on one of my shelves, you can't see it in the camera, but I have a life-size Grogu up there, and I'm gonna need the armor as well. But jumping from there, right after this, it goes back to, of course, we got Paz Vizsla, we got Din, we got Bo-Katan, we got a whole hunting party going after this creature, and there's a lot of, again, great cultural aspects of the Mandalorian that we learn in here. These big aspects. We also learn that this kid they're going to save is Paz Vizsla's child, which is fascinating in itself, and even from there, when you see this, you see how they're eating, and the respect that they kind of give Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan takes in, and I love how Bo-Katan is taking in all this information. She's been off on her own for so long. She's feeling respected by a clan of people once again. And I'm loving seeing that because you can see her parallels, and when she takes off the helmet to eat because she gets to eat by the fire by herself because she's the hunting party, the leader of them all. It's great. And of course, then the next morning they climb the mountain and they end up taking on this pterodactyl looking creature. The kid, it flies off. I mean, it was insane. And it was so much greatness in there. Like, just such, like, Carl Weathers really directed this episode with some oomph to it. Specifically the way that he moves the camera, does the zoom-ins, the way that they're shooting these, like, rockets to kind of stop the damn thing from moving. And they take that thing out to the ground. They save the kid. They save Paz Vizsla, who's in its mouth, and that thing gets eaten. And the rest of the episode really ties up to that. Everyone's celebrating Bo-Katan. And I love how it ends by the armorer taking her in and saying, let me patch you up. What sigil do you want? Do you want the Night Owl? And she goes, how about a mythosaur? Is it okay if I wear both? And she actually comes out and says, I've seen one. And it's like the armor is just like, oh, no, it's a vision, it's a vision. Bo-Katan's like, no, I really saw one. And all the armor says is, this is the way. And she speaks in those riddles, and everything about the Mandalorian culture really comes to effect here. And I think this is one of the stronger aspects when it comes down to the story for the Mandalorian, is because you have two different parallel stories to really talk about here. You have the Bo-Katan stuff and everything kind of going on with the Mandalorian culture, and then you get to learn more about the Foundling. And I found it interesting how Grogu was supposed to be a Jedi, and now he's moving towards the Mandalorian. Where is Kelleran Beq? Where is all this information? Where is this going with the mythosaur? Every week I get more and more excited for the Mandalorian once again. It's hooked, line, and sinkered me in, and it reminds me why I love Star Wars so much. For people who are not caught up on the season, you are missing out. Thank you so much again, guys, for watching this, though. This is my review. I will have a live reaction up of me actually watching the episode in a couple hours, so make sure to look for that on my secondary channel. I'll tag that somewhere in here. But of course, guys, until next time, this is the way. May the Force be with us all, and hit that like and subscribe button for more, and stay classy.